Let's talk about Texas. This is an interesting update for you regarding the Texas law to put the 10 Commandments in every single classroom, because that's how Texas Republicans think kids will improve their education somehow. They're not very smart in the Texas legislature. But let me give you a couple updates on how these 10 Commandments things are going, and then I'll get to Texas. A short version of this. Louisiana passed a law to put the 10 Commandments in every classroom. They got sued over it. A federal judge said, you can't force the 10 Commandments posters in schools. That's unconstitutional. It is illegal. And then the state appealed that decision, and an appellate court said, what are you doing? It's still illegal. You can't have this law. So Louisiana, that's where they're at right now. In Arkansas, they passed a law to put the 10 Commandments in public schools. They got sued over it. And a federal judge, and I talked about this recently, a federal judge said, you can't do that. That is illegal. But I haven't issued my decision yet. So for now, my decision only applies to a handful of schools that are represented in the lawsuit. If you're one of the parents who sued over this, then in your districts, no 10 Commandments. All the rest of you, chill out and wait for me to make my official ruling. That's where we are at in Arkansas right now. And one other thing happened, and I talked about this last week in Arkansas, which is that even though the judge said that and basically told everyone else, hold off, one other school district in Arkansas said, but we want to put up the 10 Commandments posters anyway. And they did, and a parent complained about it. And basically the lawyers for the church-state separation crowd went back to that judge and they said, hey, judge, you know how we sued over this? And you said you side with us, but it only applies to a handful of school districts. Well, there's another school district doing it now. Can we get our lawsuit back, add in a couple details about this other school district, hand it back to you, and then have you rule on that amended lawsuit? And the judge is like, this is very unusual, but sure. And they amended their lawsuit. They added that other district on, gave it back to the judge. And the judge is like, all of you districts now, including the new one, none of you get to put the 10 Commandments up. But all the rest of the school districts, you still have to wait for my decision. Okay, so that's where we are at in Arkansas. In Texas, they passed a law to put the 10 Commandments up in every classroom. They got sued over it. And very recently, a federal judge said, Texas, what the hell are you doing? That is illegal, just like everyone else has said. But again, that judge is saying, oh shit, school starts already? All right, tell you what, this ruling only applies to the school districts mentioned in the lawsuit that the parents who are suing their kids attend. It only applies to those districts. Everyone else in the state of Texas, you got to wait for my ruling. That's where we are at in Texas as I am making this video. So here's what's happened since then. There are 3 developments that have happened since then that I want to share with you. The first is that all the sides in Texas, you have the church-state separation crowd, then you have Ken Paxton, the attorney general, and all the Republican lawmakers. Those are the opposing sides here. And this is where it gets interesting. The church-state separation crowd, after the judge's ruling, sent this letter. You could see the date up here, August 21st. They sent a letter to every school district in Texas, basically saying, hey, look at the blue right there. On August 20th, a federal district court ruled in our client's favor and said that this law is plainly unconstitutional. So there was a preliminary injunction, blah, blah, blah. And look at the next paragraph. Even though your district is not a party to the ongoing lawsuit and you were not involved in it, all school districts have an independent obligation to respect students' and families' constitutional rights, basically telling all these school districts, I know you're not a part of this lawsuit, but you should not put up the 10 Commandments either. Otherwise, you will get sued. So they did that, just trying to warn these school districts, and school is starting up. Hey, don't make the mistake. Don't do it. We will come after you if you do. So, don't. Well, guess what happened just days after that? On August 25th, Ken Paxton, who is running for Senate, U.S. Senate, from Texas now, he decided, oh, I got to jump into this culture war battle. So on August 25th, he sends a letter to all these school districts saying, don't listen to the ACLU and the Freedom from Religion Foundation and Americans United. Don't listen to them. Listen to me. I'm a white Republican. I'm the only one that matters here. He says, if I'm paraphrasing what's in yellow here, if you are not part of this lawsuit, guess what? The judge's ruling does not apply to you. So you got to follow the law that we passed, and you got to put up the 10 Commandments posters in your schools. And he says, the woke radicals seeking to erase our nation's history will be defeated. Again, nonsensical sentence that means nothing. The woke radicals here are the ones saying, maybe teach the kids instead of trying to force don't sleep with your neighbor's wife onto kindergartners. He says, I will not back down from defending the virtues and values that built this country. Like slavery? I don't know. Who says that? That's so weird. But Ken Paxton sent out this letter across the state saying, don't listen to them, listen to me, put up the 10 Commandments. And basically, every school district in the states now caught in the middle. Who do you listen to? Do you listen to a right-wing extremist who does have power in your state? Or do you listen to First Amendment experts who are telling you they are going to sue you if you listen to the religious zealot? So that's development number one. Development number two is that the school year actually began after those letters were sent. So what did these districts do? There was a really fascinating article from NBC News where they basically said, look at this right here. I will share this. How some Texas teachers are fighting the 10 Commandments law in classrooms. And this is by Daniel Arkin and Eric Ortiz. But this is fascinating. They mention a bunch of teachers who don't use their real names. But look at this. A teacher in Southeast Texas says she's playing a risky game after deciding she won't display the 10 Commandments in her classroom at all. But if she must, she said, she will hang it upside down. That's malicious compliance. I like it. What else do we have here? Look at that picture. This is what another teacher did. There's the poster that the law requires them to put, but this teacher in pink has other things on her wall. Hinduism, 5 pillars of Islam, the 4 noble truths of Buddhism. And that teacher said her district is diverse, and because her school includes students of different religions, she decided to hang posters of other religions' tenets around the 10 Commandments poster. So that is awesome as well. Get the Satanic Temple's 7 rules as well. And there's one more at the bottom here. And this person used her name. That's how you know she's courageous. Aja Farrow, who teaches English and theater to students ages 10 to 14 in a rural area of North Texas. That's very red. Said a local church has announced it would be donating posters soon, which means the school district would have to use them according to the law. When that happens, Farrow said, she plans to design a world religions wall to be inclusive of all faiths and ideologies. Teachers at her school have the ability to post sentimental things in their classroom, she added. We have teachers who have Bible verses, as well as teachers who have photos of them with their LGBTQIA+ partners. That freedom should be there. But to mandate one walk of life, one religion, it's extremely unconstitutional. And I plan to be as maliciously compliant as possible so that all of my students, regardless of religion or lack thereof, feel valued, comfortable, and seen. That is beautifully put. Love that. So you're starting to see some school districts put up these posters, but also some teachers waging this malicious compliance against those posters in whatever way they feel they can do, whatever they can get away with. So I love that. That's development number 2. Here is the final development, and this is the best development. In Texas, we now know, because of articles like that one, that there are school districts that have put up the 10 Commandments posters, even though the judge already said that the ones in the lawsuit cannot do that. And the ACLU has told all these other districts, you can't do it either. And if you do, by the way, and the judge issues his ruling, odds are your posters are going to have to come down. So now that we know all these other school districts are putting up these posters, what do? Well, guess what? The ACLU and Americans United and FFRF, they basically went back to that judge. And they said, hey, you know that lawsuit that we filed that you already said we won, but you're not done writing your decision yet? Can we have it back? And can we add on a whole bunch of other school districts? Look at this. The plaintiffs in our new lawsuit also plan to file a motion for a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction because these districts are doing the exact same thing those other ones did. You stopped the other ones. Now we need you to stop it here. And they say there are a bunch of school districts we are now naming in today's lawsuit. And by the way, on that list, the Conroe Independent School District and the Fort Worth ISD and Arlington ISD and Frisco ISD, those are among the 25 largest school districts in Texas. The original lawsuit had like another 5 or 6 that were in the top 25. So basically, this new lawsuit is essentially identical to the one they filed earlier, with the plaintiffs and their school districts being the main changes. I did enjoy this one part of the new lawsuit. Just look at this right up front. This is on page 3 of the new lawsuit. Here we go. Look at number 3. Last month, hey, judge, do you remember when you wrote that decision siding with us? Last month, this district court ruled that the Texas law, SB 10, is plainly unconstitutional and likely violates the Establishment and Free Exercise Clauses of the First Amendment. And in June, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit said the same thing about the Louisiana law. And as they said in their lawsuit the first time, the Texas law is like way worse than the Louisiana law. So they're saying, look, all you got to do is look at your work that you did earlier. And look at number 4 in that same lawsuit. Despite these precedents, the defendant school districts have pressed forward with actually posting Senate Bill 10 displays in classrooms, or have confirmed they will do so shortly, even after we sent them a letter. Unbelievable. So the lawsuit lays out in depth how they know all these school districts have put up 10 Commandments posters, or how they know they're about to. And I want to show you just one of them. Look at number 101. The Frisco Independent School District has already installed 4,805 10 Commandments posters across 77 campuses, purchased by the district for approximately $1,800. Like, they are already wasting money buying posters for to follow this dumb law that's getting struck down. So I love it. I love that the church-state separation crowd has written like one lawsuit over the 10 Commandments cases, all these laws, and they are just copy-pasting it in every state, and they're winning all over the place. This should be an open-shut case. If the previous ruling said the 10 Commandments displays were illegal in those school districts, that should apply here too. It shouldn't take very long for the judge to say so. And this lawsuit was filed very recently, so I'm expecting the judge to chime in very soon and say, yeah, what I said then, I'm applying it now as well. This is not a local thing, though. Even if you don't live in Texas, this is a warning for any school district that wants to play politics with the Constitution. Staffers and administrators should be doing everything in their power to help students get the best education possible. The Republicans elected in these states are trying to distract them from doing that by focusing on this shit, because this doesn't help students at all. Like, and why are we gambling with taxpayer dollars? In Texas, Ken Paxton said, if you get sued over this, my office will defend your district for free. But who pays for Ken Paxton's office's time? The taxpayers. He's wasting state resources to fight these lawsuits he is going to lose, because it's all fun and games for him and for Republicans. So the lesson here is straightforward. If you defy the courts, you will be dragged into them. So don't do it. Don't listen to the Republicans who don't know how the law works and who are begging you to fight their culture war battles with them. So far, a lot of these courts have been pretty good about these issues. It seems like they're going to lose this one too. Moral of the story, listen to the First Amendment experts who work for these church-state separation groups and not the right-wing zealots who don't know how the law works. The Constitution does not bend to their faith. Hopefully these courts will not do that either. All right, I'm done with that story. What else do we got here? That's a teachable moment for the students. Never listen to Ken Paxton ever. I mean, that's good life advice for anybody. But yes, all of this is teachable for students. Like some of these laws that are being passed are illegal. And they get passed anyway because the people pushing for them don't have you in mind. They have their egos in mind. They have their religion in mind. Like, go be a pastor then. That's the job you want to do. Hays County in Central Texas, their independent school district, put the Bill of Rights posters next to the Ten Commandments posters. I'm so proud. Good start, but also they shouldn't be putting up the Ten Commandments posters. So they're over complying the law. Sneaky. Yeah, I mean, if you have to put up the Ten Commandments posters, teachers don't really get a say here. But as these teachers in some places are saying, there are other things they can do to take the focus off the Ten Commandments. And whether it's promoting other religions in the same way, but really, if you want to go malicious compliance, there are better ways to do it than promoting Hinduism or promoting Islam. You like make people uncomfortable at this point. Why not? Proof that Texas isn't 100% Republican Christian nationalist, like they sometimes get portrayed as. I think someone made this comment earlier too, and I know Beto O'Rourke is famous for saying this. Texas is not a red state. Texas is a non-voting state. And if the Democrats and, other sensible people in the state voted against Republicans, at least for those statewide elections, there would be a sea change and it would be good for the people who live there. Unfortunately, Republicans in Texas are very motivated to do all this stuff. So